Chapter and Yidi, how to get started. How many times have you heard someone say, "It takes money to make money"? I've heard that saying all my life, and I still hear it today. And there was a time when I didn't know any better and believed that saying. Thankfully, I learned many years ago that you don't need money to make money. What you need is knowledge, education, and a good positive attitude. If it's really true that if success comes from having the right attitude, then obviously our success or failure is determined mostly by our attitude, not by how much money we make. One of the
advantages in doing these little money deals is that you can get started with little or no money. Let's go over a couple of ways of how you can do that. Our first example shows how you can start with. In our second example, we'll do a deal using our specialized knowledge instead of our money. You're probably a little nervous thinking about actually doing your first deal. If it's any consolation, most all of us felt the same way when we attempted to try something different, and something we weren't familiar with. But if we never make the effort to do something different, then we
get to realize the rewards and benefits of doing something different. If you want to stay average, just keep doing what average people do, working a job. Starting with, let's suppose you're now ready to do your first deal and you either have or can get. Your goal is to buy a mobile home for no more than, and sell it for, with a down payment. We will even say that after you pay for the home, that you have to spend another before you can sell it. That could be for a month's lot rent, advertising, and maybe some minor fix-up to make things.
Let's say it takes a whole month to find a buyer for that home. I'm making this a worst-case scenario to show that even should all this actually happen, it will still be very good for you. Oh. You now have in this home, and after waiting a whole month you finally find a buyer that can pay down. You still have left from your original, and I want you to put that away. Consider it insurance money in case you should run short and need a few bucks. We find a buyer, the park has approved them for the lot, and you feel like they will be good people to sell that home to.
You belong to a credit bureau. Get permission from the buyers to check their credit history. If you are unable to run a credit check yourself, ask your buyers for permission to get a copy of their report from the park manager. You want to find out what kind of track record they have paying their bills. Just be sure to get the buyer's consent, in writing, before you run a credit check, to avoid violating the Privacy Act. Refer to the credit application in the appendix section. You now have the home sold for, with a down payment. You were hoping to get monthly payments,
Buyers say all they can afford is Onyede. Let's see how we will come out if we go with Onyede. After running some numbers, we structure the note as follows. How note is structured. We now have a nice little note paying us Onyede each month, but we only have cash left in our pocket from the down payment. Don't even count the insurance money. That's not to spend. Now it's time to do another one of these little deals. What can we do to get another so we can buy another mobile home? How to recover our cost. What if we could sell enough of the payment stream on our
to give us our back, and still have part of each payment left over for us? If we can do that, we will also have the down payment we received for a total of the same amount we started with. Then all we have to do is find another home to buy and sell, just like the one we just did.
Suppose we could find someone that has money invested in bills or just sitting in a bank account. They might be earning anywhere from to interest. All three are earning less than at the time I'm writing this. Maybe you know a family member or friend that is willing to draw out of that account and invest it with you. If so, this is where you will probably have to educate that person about the note business, especially mobile home notes. Most folks aren't real impressed with notes secured by old mobile homes, so you will have to sell that person on yourself.
Then you will on a mobile home deal. Your trust and credibility is what will make it work. But once you prove yourself to your investor, you will be able to find all the money you need. And a word of advice here, if you aren't absolutely sure you can, and will, do everything you promise your investor, don't do it. If you don't have the financial discipline to handle money when you get your hands on it, don't do it. The advice I'm offering here is for the person that has the self-discipline, financial discipline, and is a solid, responsible person who will uphold their end of the bargain of what it takes. Okay. So we find a family member, friend or investor that is willing to purchase part of our income stream. Since we only want to recover what we have left in the note, we don't need to sell the entire note. We decide to sell part of each monthly payment to our investor at an on-sales yield. How much will our investor receive each month? He will be entitled to receive a month for Otta's months. After paying our investor,
There will still be a month left for us. How about that? We have all of our money back and we still get a payment each.
Can you really do such a thing? What's the yield on per month when you have nothing in the note? In order to make our investor feel comfortable, we assure him that we will be the one sending the check each month. We guarantee the payments to them, and they will never have to worry about taking over a mobile home and having to sell it in order to get their money. If anything goes wrong, that's our problem. They still get their check each month on time. And again, if you aren't willing to guarantee the payment and do everything you promise, don't do the deal. Now I realize that.
Month is nothing to shout about, but how many deals like this would it take to get you excited? Especially if you can start with only, and use little or none of your own money. You don't need to start out trying to set the world on fire, but you do need to get started and do that first deal. Oh. We've now bought and sold our first mobile home. We've sold part of the income stream to give us all of our investment back, and we still get a month. Now we're ready to start looking for another one, and let's try to improve our figures on our next deal. What if our next home only
has a total of, or suppose we can get a larger down payment or larger monthly payments? What if we can sell the next home for, or what if it only takes us a week instead of a month to sell it? Any of these changes would be an improvement over our first deal. Once you get some experience in buying and selling, you will learn how to do much better. Setting goals. Let's set some goals. I'll assume you work a regular full-time job and will have to do these mobile home deals on a part-time basis in the evenings and on weekends. Let's also assume that you will be able to
1 deal a month for on months, on months, or maybe months. You will have to set your own goals based on how aggressive you are, your desire to achieve financial independence, and your desire to someday leave that job that you don't like. How much you accomplish will depend on how much time and work you're willing to put into this business, and you will most likely need to break some of your everyday bad habits. Instead of taking a seat in that easy chair, make a commitment that will force you to take action, which will result in a deal. Instead of turning the on, spend that time calling on ads or checking out leads for buyers and sellers. What does it really cost you? Every hour you spend watching or napping in that lazy boy might very well be one less deal and one less monthly check. If you miss just one deal,
How much has it really cost you? Ever wonder what life would be like for a sofa slug if that you could only be powered by a treadmill? A recent news report stated that the average person spends over 4 hours a day watching TV. What a terrible waste of a person's time. I also read an article that said by the time the average student graduates from high school, he will have spent hours watching TV, but only hours attending school. And you have to wonder what they did during those hours in school, since some of them can hardly read or write when they graduate. Hey,
it's not too hard to reach your goal if you make it easy enough, and anyone that spends 8 hours, or more, every week in front of it hasn't set much of a goal for themselves. But I know you're not like those watchers, or you wouldn't be reading this book and trying to learn how to improve your financial position. Oh, it's now been 8 days from the time we bought that first home and we have it sold. Part of the note has been sold to recover all of our cash, and we're now looking for another home to buy. By the end of the next 8 days we've bought and sold another home, and even.
It's very unlikely the numbers will be the same. For simplicity's sake, let's use the same numbers and see what we would have on months from the time we received our first payment. A deal a month. For the next on months we average 1 deal a month. We sell part of the income stream to get our total investment back, and then we buy another home. Let's see what we will have after doing this on times. Remember, it's actually 2 months from the time we bought our first home until we receive a payment. Our chart shows us that if we do the exact same thing 1 time a month for 1 month, we will have a positive cash flow of per year. And with none of our money invested, of course, this means that we must sell each note as soon as we sell the mobile home in order to buy another home. If you have the knowledge, discipline, and to start with, this can be a very good way to get started. Deal a month. Now, let me emphasize an important point that many folks fail to see or realize. Once the deal is done and your buyer is obligated to send you a check every month, what more do you need to do to get paid? Nothing but wait for the mail carrier to bring
and put it in the bank. Your work is done, but you will still get paid even if you never leave your house. Once you do several of these little deals and start receiving checks every month, you will never feel the same about working a job again, especially on a cold, rainy day.
when you can stay home and watch that wet mail carrier bring the checks. Honey, did the mail come yet? You can be sick in bed, on a nice vacation, or just lazy and do nothing, and the checks are still due every month. I know a real estate investor who owns apartment units. He told me that every morning people have to get out of bed and go to work so they can send him a check each month. Isn't that a nice thought? Wouldn't the same principle hold true if you owned notes on a mobile homes? It certainly would, and it's not an unrealistic goal by any means.
Suppose you have to get out of bed each morning and go work a job. You work Kirk hours that week and then you draw a check for that Kirk hours of work. In order to draw another check, what do you have to do? You have to get out of bed each morning and go work another Kirk hours. And it might even be a job you don't like, or a job without a good future, but you have to keep doing it in order to pay bills and eat. Now, let's suppose you decide to do one of these mobile home deals that you keep hearing about. You spend your spare time to buy and sell a home, and now you have a buyer that is
To send you a check, even if it took you a month to do it. Once it's done, it's like money in the bank. Except you make a lot more than the bank pays. There's nothing else to do except cash the check each month. If the note is set up for Otis months, that means you get to cash Otis checks. If you have enough of these checks coming in, you might not have to get out of bed and go to that job you don't like, which sounds the best. I know, if you do enough of them, someone won't pay like they promised, and occasionally you might even have to take a home back and resell it. But if you have to work Kirk hours a week on a job that you don't like, how bad would that be? Especially if you've already recovered all of your investment. Let's get back to our deal a month and see what we could have after a couple of years. If we just keep doing the exact same thing for yearly months, we can just double our figures. Instead of per year, we would have per year. And this is based on not making any of the deals better than the first one, or not ever getting a cash sale for any of the homes. Surely on several of the homes you would be able to get a larger down,
or larger monthly payment, or a larger selling price, or do something to improve on the deal, and occasionally you will find someone that will pay all cash for that home. A cash sale doesn't happen often, but it does happen. After you gain some experience and feel comfortable buying and selling, you should be able to average more than one deal a month. So set your goals a little high, but keep them realistic. And once you get your cash flow to the point that you don't have to sell part of the note, your cash build-up will improve considerably. It won't take very long until the cash
from deals you've already done will give you enough cash to buy another home. When you reach that point, your net worth will start compounding like a rocket taking off. In order to do this, you must keep reinvesting all of your cash as soon as you receive it. You don't go buying that new car you've been wanting or taking that vacation you've been dreaming about. If you do that, be sure you still have that Kirk hour week job, because you will need it to buy groceries and pay the rent. You buy the toys and take the nice vacations after you have reached a point in life that your investments
Allow you to do so without making a difference in your financial position. If you have to alter your investment goals in order to buy a new car or take that dream vacation, then the price you pay will be too much. The only time you should buy a new car or take a vacation is when you're able to write the check for it. Sell the front end of the note. Let's look at another idea on what we might be able to do with our note. Suppose we could get by without any of the monthly payment, but we want to recover our cost that we still have in the home. How could we do that? What if our
Agrees to pay us for the front end of the note. Instead of him getting a partial payment each month, he gets the entire monthly payment until he's received his, plus and sick his interest. How many payments would he be entitled to if we did that?
How note is structured. We see from our chart that if we sold our investor the first on Yeti payments at an on-sekis yield, we would receive. So let's do that. After our investor gets his on Yeti payments, we still have on payments coming to us. If we can just do without any cash flow for on Yeti months, then things start looking real good. So hang on to that job for a while longer. Let's set a goal of one deal a month for the next Otis months. We use the same figures as before. We sell the first on Yeti payments to our investor, and we keep the last on payments for.
We'll make a chart to track our payments. We actually receive our first payment on sickest months from the time they start. I'll round the payment off to on Yeti. Deal a month. Let's go over this again to make sure you fully understand what we've done. We've done one deal a month for Otis months. We sold the first on Yeti payments of each note for, which gave us all of our money back, plus just add that to your insurance money and forget about it. For the first on Yeti months of each deal, our investor gets the whole check. We don't get to keep any of it,
Starting
The on sickest month, we get to keep the whole check, and we will receive on payments on each mobile home. When we receive our checks, we simply deposit them in the bank until we have enough money to buy another mobile home. If we do one deal a month for Otis months, that means that on the on sickest month we receive one check, on the unduckest month we receive 2 checks, on the yearmouth month we receive 3 checks, and so on. Our chart shows us that if we save every payment we receive starting with the on sickest month, that after 5 months we will have enough money to buy another
home. If we can just keep all of our payments going back into another mobile home every 5 months or so, just think what a compounding effect this will have after a short period of time. Or, if we don't spend any of the payments until after the attested payment, we will have accumulated, starting with month on sickest we would receive our first payment, in month on docus we would be receiving 2 payments, and so on. By doing one deal a month, we would be adding a payment each month after the on sickest month until we reach the attested month. By the attested month we would have monthly
Totaling after the attested month, we would start losing a payment each month unless we kept doing our deal a month. But by then we should have enough cash flow from our monthly payments that we wouldn't need to sell our notes. We could then take the monthly cash flow and buy another mobile home. Once we reach the point where we can keep all the notes for ourselves and still do our deal a month, what would our cash flow be after another on Ake to Yerma months? After we build our monthly cash flow up to where we have enough to buy another mobile home, let's see what we could have
in each month after another Yerma months. If we stick to this plan and use the same figures, that would mean at the end of Yerma months, we would be receiving Yerma payments of Onyedi each for a total monthly income of Onyedi Yermi Onyedi, or all each year. A real nice number, oh. I realize that it's very unlikely that each sale and each note will be the same. What I want you to learn is the concept of what can be done, and what you can accumulate if you will set a goal and stick with it. If you will simply avoid the temptation of using any of your monthly
flow and just let it compound, it won't take very long to really see some wonderful results, and you will be well on your way to financial freedom. Power of compounding. What else could we do? Suppose we didn't spend any of our payments and just let the cash flow build up. At the end of Otis months we have accumulated. Using our specialized knowledge, suppose we can invest this at on sekis for Yerma years, compounding monthly. How much would we have at the end of 10 years, and how much after Yerma years?
we see that at the end of 10 years we would have. But look what happens if we leave it alone and let it work another 10 years at the same rate. The second 10 years it goes from to Troten. Almost 6 times more than the first 10 years. And if you want to really blow your mind, look what it would be after Otis years. The awesome power of compounding is working for you, but it does take some time for it to really explode. Tell me where you can find a better retirement plan than something like this. From to in Otis years. If you're not sure of
figure, let me spell it out. That's $3,367,951. And I know people that worked in the factory for Otis years and considered themselves real fortunate to retire with a month and a wristwatch. You might think that Otis years is too far in the future to worry about, but Otis years will pass faster than you think, and it will pass rather you're financial prepared or not. Just ask any person that's Alton or yet my years old and trying to live on Social Security how fast Otis years went by for them. And of
People failed to prepare for their financial future. Are you making the same mistake? If you don't understand the tremendous power of compounding, let me urge you to make every effort to learn. You need to understand the time value of money, compounding power, and the importance of keeping your money working at the highest rate of return possible. Or you can do like many people do and let the banks or someone else do it for you. Yearly. Why not set yourself a goal to have per year coming in from mobile home payments within the next 2 years? It will really depend on
how much effort and how much money you are willing to put into achieving your goal, but you can do it. Let's just play with some numbers. Let's suppose that you want to reach that goal in 2 years or so. If you could average 2 monthly payments on each home, you would need to do 2 deals. That would only require you to do 1 deal a month for the next 2 months. 2 per month, 2 months per year. Doesn't that number have a nice cheerful ring to it?
This is a very realistic goal and one you can reach if you set your mind to it. Even if it took you
years to do it, it would still be a good feeling to wake up one morning, and before you even get out of bed, the thought hits you. Hey, the mail carrier is dropping worth of checks in my mailbox every month. Why am I going down to that job that I never did like and putting up with that nasty old boss? It might be a good time to tell that boss what he or she could do with that job. You can reach that goal if you have the will and determination. It will mean giving up some to time, or working a little harder, or eliminating some bad habits that you're wasting your time on. But it be done, and is being done by many, many people throughout the country. It's also not being done by many people who choose to make excuses instead of deals. The choice is yours. But remember, if you want things to be different 3 years from now, then you have to start doing something different now. If you look for opportunities, you will find opportunities. If you look for problems, you will find problems. If you look for excuses, you will find excuses. What are you looking for?